I'll call them. You'll stand. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Jerry Persetto.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item, I guess we don't have a volunteer this. We don't. Okay. And our first is a presentation by Jim Wickstrom. Where's Jim? He's going to introduce a new city employee.
Normally, when you see us, it's because your lights are off. So instead of making introductions when the power's out, Tori thought it would be a good idea to introduce our newest hire, Nicholas Klein, to the council, and so this is Nick Klein. So when you see him when the lights are out, you can say, "Hey, that's Nick."
Okay. Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay.
Nick is a graduate. He was the of the Northwest Lineman College. He was the most qualified of our applicants. They must teach a keep your trap shut course at that college because he doesn't say a whole lot, which is
That's
to
fine.
his benefit because when he says something, we actually listen. So yeah. Nick,
All right.
he's-
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Where are you
Welcome,
from?
welcome.
North Idaho.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Welcome.
Good. Welcome. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the consent calendar items. Now, if I just want to make a comment, do we have to take them out and vote on them separately?
No.
No,
All I do is this is for the library board, not a criticism, just a comment. That in the minutes, when you have your minutes where it says attendance, if anybody's missing, you need to name them too, because that way we can tell you have a full board and then we can tell how many people, how many meetings they're missing, and that's all I have. All right,
To
do we,
approve. Second.
then moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Unanimous of those present. Let the record show that Counselor Seymour is absent. Okay, now we have the agenda. Would anybody help? Okay, having a little lull here. New and old business. All right, the first item on the agenda is the Bandon Rural Fire Protection District Radio Communications Tower Project proposal. Tori, do you want to give us a background?
yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the city council. City staff was approached by the Bandon Fire District. We were informed of their intent to construct a new communications tower that would provide communication services for the fire district, local police, emergency medical services. And with that, we do have representatives of the fire district here tonight. If they would like to approach the podium, feel free to do so. We also have representatives from the Bandon PD that would like to speak in support.
Okay, come on up, Nick and Timmy. Hi there.
Hi,
Okay,
I'll let Nick address the concerns with the fire radio. He's more involved with that than I am.
Okay.
Thanks, Timmy. So just a quick rundown on it. I got in on it late. It's actually a countywide project that was a tax levy to enhance and my understanding is bring up to date the 911 system for the entire county. It was successful, except for Bandon and the surrounding areas. And it was explained to me by somebody who was involved. Bandon is basically flat compared to the rest of the system. I know, I didn't ever envision Bandon being flat, but so this radio system, you know, these towers see each other and apparently we're too low.
mhm.
And we rely on it for our pagers as volunteers. So when we get dispatched, it comes in not clear most of the time. And then with that, the radio coverage also is not clear, which affects PD on a police department on a more regular basis than it does us, but nonetheless, it's a factor. So Bandon Rural Fire really tried to find ideas to fix this although not our responsibility. I mean, the project really is a
County.
county-wide. But we're fortunate that we do have some funds and said, hey, you know, probably in the interest of public safety and that's what we're here for. So we figured this was the best. And it's actually located in the county, but within the urban growth boundary. And that's what's brought us here this evening.
So it's gonna be behind your shop down there?
It definitely in that
Fire
area, the proposed site that we handed into planning is behind the building, provided that. So what I approached the county for the permit to do the project. Federal Aviation Administration, Oregon Department of Aviation. And City of Bandon were required approval before the county would move forward. The other
Okay.
two have been approved. So if the county doesn't have any issues with that, but we have property out in front, but relative to the building, yes, it'll
Yeah,
be right
out there,
there,
okay.
right there with the main station.
Yeah, because safety is by far the biggest issue here. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have some complaints about the size of the tower, but nothing can, you know, it's got to be done for the safety issue for both the fire and particularly the police department, so.
Yep. And for a visual, I know when we say tower, at least for myself, I envision the very large, maybe 3 or 4-legged towers. I'm not a tower guy, but this is what's called a
Mono,
monopole.
yeah, just one. Yeah.
Just one kind of octagon shaped. In fact, with the recent cutting up there by the dump, you can clearly see the one right there at the entrance to the dump. That's considered a monopole. So that would be an example.
Matt, do you have anything to add to it?
Sure.
Madam Mayor, members of the city council, I'm stepping in for Chief Dillon. He asked me to kind of discuss our portion of it. It most definitely affects us. I wouldn't say more because we're, you know, the first responder family, but our portables are only designed to work in the older models in perfect conditions. And as we know, as windy as Bandon is, and Lord forbid, we're under a power line or something like that, it's nothing but static if we can even get out to our dispatch center. Just today, there was an incident just a stone's throw outside the city limits. More of a tense situation that we couldn't get out to our dispatch. They actually closed the radio station to emergency traffic only for us because they couldn't get a hold of us.
Oh, my God.
So it is, it's good that they're trained to do so and they can do that, but with not just with our job and how we do it, but I think more along the lines of the newer officers. We have a very young department. They're very eager, they're very proactive. They want to get out and be hungry. We want to give them the tools and that kind of safety net to know that they can get out. We don't use our microphones at all, really. They're pretty much useless other than to be a little bit closer to our ears to hear if we can get out. So the tower down here would most definitely be beneficial to everyone, including law enforcement and fire. So
Okay,
we are in very, very much support of that.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does this take a vote?
No, all we're seeking is city council authorization for staff to administratively approve it. And just one other factor, just want to be fully transparent that the monopole is 139 feet tall. So that was a reason why to bring it before the council
Right.
as an informational item.
Okay,
Thank you.
Has the FAA or the whatever authority approved that now?
They have.
Because I know there's that conical zone or whatever it is over the airport.
they're not really in the flight zone, are they? Or flight path?
They're not.
It extends way beyond the flight.
I should have stayed for questions.
Mhm.
So we're not in, I wish I was an airline pilot, I'm not, but there is a little, you know, rectangular path that they use for their approaches and
And
stuff.
that is
We're,
it.
we're not in that.
Right.
But we are within their radius that they require an approval, and it was approved with no action. So
Good.
we don't have to do anything for them.
Good. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
I'm okay with it. Okay, I'm sure everybody's, and if anybody has any questions or concerns, I wouldn't think so. It's really important. It's just funny that after all these years, I was married to a state policeman 50 years ago, and we were talking about this very thing 50 years ago. And here we are with as much technology as we have, and we still can't get it right. Yeah. All right, the next item is the library distribution methodology.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. We have some positive news to report. We are requesting city council support and approval of a letter that we would submit on behalf of the city council to the board in support of a proposed methodology. And for the details of that methodology, I'll defer to Christine.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you. So after many years of discussion, the Coos Library Board has provided a new recommended library formula, allocation formula and transition plan. The proposed new formula is based 25% on population and 75% on usage for each individual library. The previous requests for the bases that North Bend and Coos Bay were asking for additional money, those have all been removed,
Good.
which is exactly what we asked for. So the proposed formula is now what we requested, using statistics as a fair and equitable methodology for distribution. So we are in favor of the formula. The implementation, if accepted, would start in fiscal year 24-25. The transition plan that has been proposed is a 4-year plan, and that is to help libraries that will be receiving a decrease in funding through this process. Year one, each library would receive 75% of what they're currently getting, the current allocation, and 25% of the new allocation based on the new formula. That's year one. Year two, it would be 50-50, 50% old, 50% new. The third year, it would be 75% of the new funding, 25% of the current funding, and then year four would be 100% of the new formula in place and new funding. For year one of the transition, I estimate that Bandon would likely receive about $50,000 more than we are supposed to receive this year. So it will be an increase, but not as much as it would be if we went straight into this formula. The Coos Library Board has requested feedback from each city based on their proposal. And in our feedback, I recommend that we accept the new formula and that we approve of that. And I have strongly advocated for a faster transition for Bandon. I recommend that we request that they consider a faster transition when they're deciding fully on this. And we have put a letter together with this recommendation.
So you're going to stick with your concerns to speed it up.
We're going to voice.
You know, I mean, obviously I'm signing this letter. I didn't write it, but the first 5 sentences are all approving everything that's done. It's wonderful. It's the board's work is great. I'm in favor of the proposed formula based in full support. And then, but.
Right.
So now I'm wondering if you couldn't get the but into the first paragraph a little bit rather than making it look like, because if they were in a hurry, they would read this first paragraph and they'd think everybody, you're completely fine with it.
Okay.
But then you read the last 4 paragraphs and it's not. So kind of just try to, before I sign it, just try to introduce a little bit of the concerns. We love what you've done. We appreciate it, but, and then kind of morph into that.
Yep.
Then I'd be happy to sign. I'd
Okay.
sign this, but it's
Right.
just not how I would write it. Okay?
Right. No problem. We can fix that.
Okay.
So, yeah. I think
Well,
that's,
Congratulations
Yeah.
on getting them to
Great.
move a little bit on this. That's kind of a big deal.
thank you. Yeah.
I'd
Any
just
oth-
like to recognize Christine and her efforts to doggedly pursue the amended methodology. So thank you.
I had a lot of help.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
So now you're wanting a letter of support. I mean, you want us to vote for the letter of support.
Yes, we intend to submit the letter with the revisions that were suggested. I think the bottom line is that we're very pleased with the methodology.
Yeah.
With the understanding that, we're willing to accept the 4 years, but would appreciate consideration if they're reduced. So
Okay,
I think that's.
do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the library distribution letter.
Second.
Then moved by Jerry, seconded by Brian, that we approve the letter of support prepared by the council to be submitted to the Coos County Library District Board. All in favor? Unanimous of those present. I can't remember if you're supposed to say that or not. I'm not used to having somebody missing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, the next one, I guess Jim's up again. Proposed amendment to the electric utilities net metering agreement relative to net metering billing and the application of energy credits. Now, that is an interesting topic. Maybe between Tori and Jim, someone can
Yes.
explain that.
Yes, thank you. Jim is here because he's the expert. But with that said, Madam Mayor and members of the council, this evening, we're requesting council approval of an amendment that is intended to further clarify the terms of the net metering agreement. In accordance with state law, cities that operate utilities are required to allow for customer operators to exist. So individual private property owners, including residents, are permitted to install green energy. Either predominantly would be solar here, but there are other means of providing green energy. But for Bandon, we do have, I believe, 6 residents that provide green energy. And with that, they entered into a net metering agreement. The specific section that we're requesting revisions on is section 2 of that agreement. And as conveyed in the title, it's pertaining to the terms of net metering, billing, and energy crediting. In the attached report, city staff has recommended the removal or deletion of text that's represented by strikeout text.
Okay,
And in place of that text, we're proposing the bold underlined text. I won't necessarily read the changed revisions, but they are also included in the final agreement that's been attached for reference as well. In the end, we hope to introduce this amendment to further clarify how the city will apply credits that are generated by private customers. And for the details of that, I will now defer to the city's in-house expert. Jim?
Madam Mayor and Council. Essentially, what we're doing in the changes is that if you have a solar system owned by a private individual that overproduces their electric needs and puts that energy back onto our system, what we want to do is pay them the same rate that we buy from Bonneville, because there's a cost to delivering that power to other customers. And that cost is basically all of the city owns infrastructure and labor to maintain it. Essentially, that's what we do, is we buy Bonneville power or power from Bonneville, and we basically double it and we sell it to our customers. And when we double it, it pays for the wire, the poles, the linemen, the trucks. And so if a customer that has a solar system overproduces, there's a cost to deliver that power to other people. So we'll pay them wholesale rate, but we don't pay them retail rate
Okay.
for that overproduction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, so the only question I had, so it seems the credits, the energy credits roll over from month to month, but they don't roll over from year to year. At the end of the year, those energy credits get awarded to the city? Is that my understanding of this language?
Yes, as the proposed revision is presented, if there's any remaining credits at the end of December, the end of the calendar year, the agreement and the arrangement with the customers that they would dedicate or assign those to the city. And we would apply those to offset the city's operating costs for the utility. And that's all provided for in state law, subject to the council's approval.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, use it or lose it.
yeah.
Okay, how much do
the way that it goes back and forth, isn't that, the meter, a different type of meter? You just can't, like, if I've got a meter in my house, I can't just throw up solar panels and then it goes right back onto the system. Isn't there a special meter you have to have?
Yes, it's called a net meter.
Okay,
So the meter will actually look at the power that is being delivered from your system and keep track of it. And it'll actually, it'll build throughout the month. And then the power you consume, it'll keep track of that. And then the net of those two, that's your read, either positive or negative.
okay. Are those more expensive than just the regular meters?
Yeah, I think they're about $600. A regular meter is around $100.
Okay,
So,
should we put that cost off on the person that wants to have that meter then?
I think that there's a law that says that, that if we're going to pay them wholesale, then we have to foot the cost of the metering.
All right.
Makes sense. I thought maybe you were gonna go solar.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of, paying people when we're trying to make money here.
Okay,
I mean, we are a utility. We're supposed to be making money.
okay.
Well, the other consideration, and Jim would know more about this, when we buy power from Bonneville, isn't it something like 50 some percent of line loss by the time the energy gets to us? Do you know that?
Yeah, I have heard that. Yeah, there is line loss whenever you're transmitting power through
So
miles
these-
and miles of line.
So these companies generate the power, and by the time it gets to us, it's 50% of what it normally is. So I imagine that localized production, even on small amounts like that, would still be, I can't imagine that the line loss would
Yeah, that'd
be
be
as
less,
significant.
No, I mean, you're not going through a transmission system, and it's going through our equipment, but not,
Right.
large equipment.
And we're either buying it from Bonneville or we're buying it from our local citizens. It's the
Yeah.
same power. So anyway,
Okay.
thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? If not, thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, I think we need a motion to approve amending the city's net metering agreement.
I move to approve amending the city's net metering agreement as stipulated herein.
Second, been moved by Josh, seconded by Jerry to approve amending the city's net metering agreement. All in favor? Unanimous of those present. And now we have an informational report on recreational immunity. I guess Shayla's going to give us this.
Yes, ma'am.
Pull the mic over because I'm hard of hearing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. So this just summary of the current status of recreational immunity due to the recent case law has been provided by the city manager, along with some information from CIS about their guidance and things of that nature. I think that a inventory was taken. You have a trail audit of 2024 that lays out the city trails and some of the status of those trails and the condition there. And it's important to remember that the current law, differentiates improved trails versus unimproved trails. And I'm not going to delve into the legal report. You have it in front of you for your review, but I will share that I spoke with our state senator, our Senator David Brock Smith today to see if the legislature was actually working on a fix for this situation, and they are.
They are.
They have been working with the League of Oregon Cities and the Association of Oregon Counties, and there is a draft in the works, and it should be distributed to the cities for their review by Friday of this week. And so any sort of action may be a bit premature. They are going to try to take this up this short legislative session, and if it's approved and approved as an emergency, it would go into effect immediately upon the governor's signature. So there may not be something that you need to do right away, but it is certainly on the radar for the city to deal with.
So then can the legislature overrule the court, this decision?
So what the legislature will do is do a text change in the actual law that corrects the disposition of the court. Remember, the court just determined what the law was based upon what they read in the Oregon Revised Statutes. So what the legislature will do will be to tweak the Oregon Revised Statutes so that their recreational immunity in these situations will be returned.
Okay.
Sounds good. Who's, it's not mine.
I think it's Zoom.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments on that item? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item we have is the city's audited financial statements, and we do have an adjusted, couple of pages just to the, was an inputting error on the part of the auditor, so we were happy that this is the first year in quite a while that we've gotten our audit in on time, and we're very happy with the finance department and Paula. And we're sorry that the auditor made this little slip up, but we've got it corrected now. And so does anybody have any questions about the audit? If I could find my paper. Oh, here it is. I do want to point out, because we've always talked about property taxes. Most cities who have maybe a city property tax rate of anywhere between 4 and, for example, Myrtle Point, I think there's a $7.99, which is the money that goes into the general fund. The city of Bandon is 46 cents. So we are among the lowest in the state. So property taxes don't mean very much to us, but where we, and I asked Paula for a rundown of what we got, of what our audited figures are. For property taxes, we got $235,000. For our utility tax, which is a 10% tax on all of our utilities, we get $550,000. TOT, $1,400,000. So this is, you know, and I'm guilty of the same thing. Oh, no, please don't put any more properties into VRDs and, you know, but this is a sizable amount of money. True, the money that is raised, the first 6 cents that we instituted for the TOT came in ahead of the 70-30 law, which required that 70% of the revenues had to go toward tourism, promotion, and facilities. So the 6%, we could actually do whatever we wanted to. We had a gentleman's agreement, but not a law, but a gentleman's agreement with the chamber that we could give them, I believe it was 22.5% of the first of the six cents. But now we've gone up to 9.5 cents. So our money, you know, our revenues are increasing, and that will be a subject for the council to decide exactly how that money is going to be spent, because we're under no obligation to give the money to anybody. We may decide to have our own promotion committee, and there would be groups from, you know, the tourism, the chamber could be on it, the motel owners. It could be a wide reaching group of people who would decide how that 70% of the money between the 6 cents and the 9.5 cents is what we're talking about. But anyway, you can see what a difference when people talk about, oh yeah, all this new development is bringing so much property taxes into Bandon. Well, that's not true. We're getting a very, very small amount of money from our property taxes. Anybody have any questions, or do you want to talk about the audit, or Paula, or anybody?
The only thing I would say is to thank Paula and the finance division for all their efforts. I learned today that this has been a process that has taken 3 years to get to this point.
Yeah,
So
amen.
it's a huge accomplishment to present an audit that has been fully certified and in compliance with the applicable laws governing audits to the council. And just echo the comments of the mayor that the only significant revenue generating source of income for the city is in fact TOT. And so through TOT, we're able to keep some of the lowest property tax in the state of Oregon. in addition to everything else that we provide, the potential to utilize TOT in a more effective way is something that we'll definitely look into and work with the council on.
Thank you. Anybody on the council have any questions with the audit? Comments? Yes, because I can tell you that for quite a few years under 2 or 3 city managers, we were always late with the audit and the state would send a letter to me. I don't know why I got the letter because I wasn't responsible, but I got the letter that said we are withholding your state payments until you get it in. So we always, for years, a few years, we had our state payments withheld. But now this is the first year and we're very, very happy. This is a big accomplishment. Thank you, Paula. Okay, the next item is 4.5, Granicus. Is that the name? Granicus. Host compliance update. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about that cash cow that that we're looking for.
Yeah, that was the perfect transition.
It
Thank
was,
you.
wasn't it?
So I wanted to provide you with an update on the program that we've been using for a little over a year called Host Compliance. It's a function of a larger company called Granicus that provides lots of services to governmental entities. We started using them in August of 2022. It did take a little while to get off the ground, so we've probably been using it heavily for about a year. The attachment here is a picture of what our front page looks like when we log in. We do get weekly updates from Host Compliance. And I guess I should back up and say, this is a program that we use to track short-term rentals in Bandon. So what it does is it has this map that you're looking at. It's able to comb through about, I think, over 50 websites to find all sorts of rental listings. So you'll notice there's a lot of numbers there. They give us all of the listed short-term rentals, but there are also other listings on there that can be motels. Some motel rooms are now listing individual rooms on Airbnb or VRBO. So it can be really hard to kind of look through if you're just a lay person. And then from there, it breaks them down into compliant and non-compliant. There's a couple different layers of non-compliant. What they do, and I can't show you the back end because it is, we try to keep it a little bit of a secret because we don't want people changing their listings so we can't figure out where they're located. But what they're doing is looking at their listings and finding other ways to figure out what the address of that location is, and then using Coos County assessors data to get their contact information. So it does take them a little bit of time once they identify a new listing to determine who the property owner is and if it is or isn't compliant. The city does provide an updated list of approved vacation rentals to them quarterly so that they have the most up-to-date information. So once we learn that there are some non-compliant rentals, the website or the program also has the ability for us to send out letters. So we, as staff, drafted a violation letter that lets folks know in a very friendly way that they're in violation of the city's code and they need to contact us within 10 days of receiving the letter before we would initiate any sort of proceeding. So generally, it's someone calling up and saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize those were the rules. I'll take it down immediately. I think we've only had one scenario where we had some pushback. It ended up going to municipal court and then they settled. But we were able to collect back TOT that hadn't been paid. So it was a good way to recoup some money on it. The other thing that the program does is it has a 24/7 hotline, which we've found to be really helpful for folks. Obviously, planning staff are only working normal business hours, and a lot of the violations that occur happen at night or on weekends when people are in town. So the 24/7 hotline is a real person that you reach, and you can tell them your name, or you don't have to tell them your name, and you can report the violation. Frequently, it's something like a parking issue or trash being left out or a light being left on. We've had some crazy ones that are sort of funny to staff, I'm sure not funny to property owners that have had to deal with it. But generally, they're taken care of pretty quickly. So the property owner gets a text message, a phone call, and an email from this company that lets them know they need to resolve the issue within a matter of, I think it's 30 minutes. And then they do, and they let us know that they've resolved it, and it all gets tracked on the website. So we can just make sure that we're not having too many ongoing problems. So one, it does allow us to track things that are sort of ongoing or perpetual issues, we can then call, we've had to do this a couple times, call property owners and let them know they really need to fix that issue. It's ongoing. And we can also refer them to the planning commission if it gets to be too egregious, but frequently it's just sort of small mistakes that need to be fixed. So we found that to be helpful, and I have provided you with just a couple of statistics. So we've got 61 approved vacation rentals in Bandon. You'll notice there's 64 short-term rental listings. We do have a couple that are in violation right now that we've sent letters out to. We have not heard back from them yet, but we are hoping to. We get about 3 calls per month on the 24/7 hotline, which isn't an enormous amount, but average over the year, I think is pretty good. And most of the calls are about parking and trash. So I think overall, we're not seeing huge egregious errors. We're not seeing a lot of people complaining about illegal vacation rentals, but we do try to return phone calls that ask for us to call them back. We've sent 4 violation letters, one of which resulted in that unpaid TOT. And then to what the mayor was talking about, in Q3, which is July through September, so arguably our busiest season, vacation rentals brought in about $140,000 in transient occupancy tax. So I know that we don't always love them. They can provide lots of issues for us in town, but they do bring in money, and staff are doing our best to track any of the issues with vacation rentals. I personally feel like Host Compliance has done a great service for us. I used to do an audit once a month. It did take a lot of time to try to figure out who's illegal or not. And because it only costs us $15,000 a year for the service, I do feel like it's worth the money considering how much we bring in TOT. But if you have any questions, or if you ever want to see the back end of Host Compliance, I'm happy to show you that. And let me know.
I got a question.
Yeah.
It says residents can call the hotline at any time. Where's that number posted? I didn't.
Yeah, so we have that listed on the city's website. I think Sarah also has it in the police department. So if she does get a call about a vacation rental incident, she can pass along that number to them.
Do you have the number off the top of your head?
I don't, but I can get it for you if
Yeah,
you'd like.
because I had it in my column for a few weeks, and I would be willing to put it in there every week so that people could write it down and they
Yeah.
write it down and.
And if there's a better place to put it on the city's website, I'm happy to take suggestions. I think we've got it in a couple locations, but I do feel like probably we'd get more calls if people knew how to reach us.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have one concern, somebody, and I don't remember who I was talking to, but they seem to know about several of these 30-day listings. I mean, these
Yes.
people are getting around us, okay? And if they're, maybe, could we tighten up our ordinance somehow? Because this person was laughing and they said, well, they keep advertising it as 30 days, but then they advertise, then 1 week they rent it to somebody and the next week it's somebody else, but it's always a 30-day rental. And they're completely not abiding by the law. And
I don't know, that might be more of a legal question. I do know what you're talking about. So we can see all of those 30-day rental listings. We do have them sort of flagged on Host Compliance that they are technically compliant, but we do hear from the public that they're sort of getting around that. I don't know if there's another legal way to do anything.
I'd
I
like
can-
to know how other cities do it, because
Yeah.
most time when you're looking for a rental, you're not looking for a 30-day rental unless you're looking for a vacation rental dwelling. Because, I
Well,
mean, nobody
the
wants to
benefit-
move into
thank you.
something for 30 days.
Yeah, the benefit of Host Compliance is one of the things they do is actually track documented stays. So when the vacation rental is listed on VRBO or Airbnb or something like that, they have a calendar function that shows when it's available or not available.
Okay.
And so if someone books through one of those websites, we get notified. So like one of the violations that we had recently was they had multiple documented stays in 1 month, even though they were advertising as a 30-day rental.
Mhm.
So that's one way that we can actually get at it and try to collect TOT or to go after them. But I think there's some that are just listed like in the coffee break. I've seen that one before on Facebook, and I do think people are getting around it by sort of sharing a 30-day list.
And I just wonder how many of those there are.
I can get that number for you. if you
I'd
want.
really like
Yeah.
to know. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Okay, I'll get you the phone number. Paula pulled it up for me. Okay, perfect. The phone number is 541-237-1640.
Thank you.
And this is on the planning department's page under vacation rental dwellings. There's also a website online where you can leave anonymous tips or do it that way if you don't want to call on the phone. It is recorded, so we can hear all of those recordings later.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. All right, the next item is a request for city-initiated vacation of property. Tori? Or Dana, whoever this is.
Getting my steps in. Thank you. So this was a request by the Coquille Indian Tribe. We do have a member of Tribal One who's on the call, so if you do have any questions, I'm gonna let Alan talk about it. But what they'd like to do is they are requesting that the city council initiate a vacation of certain city rights of way next to the Pacific View retirement home. From what I can understand from our files, there's like a remnant of Kensington, I think, Lincoln, and then an old alleyway that were never vacated. There are some files back there, history going back and forth between the city manager at the time and the tribe trying to figure out whether or not they should vacate. For whatever reason, they didn't, and the tribe would now like those vacated. They've provided a request in here for you, as well as some exhibits that show exactly what they're requesting. So you can look at Exhibit A if you're curious about what's there. And we wanted to bring this to you just to see if it's something you'd like to consider. So the process for vacation is an ORS. Either the property owner can do it themselves. They do have to get a petition the neighbors to agree to it, or if the city council agrees to it, we just notice the people around there. So it's a slightly easier path if the city council initiates. What we're curious about is if you would even consider the initiation, in which case we'll bring back an item with more information about the sort of pros and cons of pursuing it. The one thing to note is that we do have, and Tim, tell me, I think it's a pump station out on the jetty. And we are unsure of the location as to whether or not that's in one of those rights of way or in a city owned right of way or on private property. It's sort of we're not sure yet. So Tribal One has, they've agreed to do the surveying. We'd also, in the past, when the city council has initiated these types of vacations, all costs associated with that vacation request are borne by the person asking for it. So it wouldn't cost the city anything. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Does the city generally initiate these, or does the property or the person that wants the vacation?
So the city's initiated it a couple times in the past few years. You did initiate it for the alleyway, for the grocery outlet project, and for that sort of remnant alley in the Ocean Terrace.
Oh, all right.
So I think there have been a couple scenarios where it's something that either one benefited the city in some way, that it made sense for the city council to initiate it, or if it was a sort of a mistake that would be challenging to fix otherwise.
And what about lot 6,900? Do they own that already?
Let me look at that. Lot 6,900. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where it is.
Oh, it's the center
Oh.
lot between all the property.
Yeah. So I think that's what's sort of weird about it is they own the parcel that Pacific View is on. They own that adjacent parcel and the little triangle. There just are these remnant city rights of way
Right.
that break it up.
Uh,
And I mean, I don't think they serve the city any purpose at this point, other than that there's that pump station
Right.
out there.
I got no issue with
I
it.
have no issue with it.
I'm all right with it.
I don't think we have any issues. So then you would bring back the documentation for us to look at, to start the process?
Yes, so we didn't do much analysis of the application after it was received. If you didn't want to consider it at all, I didn't want to go that
Sure.
far, but we'll go ahead and bring a formal item for you to initiate the vacation of those rights of way.
So does that take a motion?
As long as
don't
that
think
pump
so.
station issue.
Is protected.
resolved.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it says
And if
that
there
in
is an
here.
easement required, we need to get it.
yes, which I think that, yeah, wouldn't be a problem to, if we needed an easement, I think they've put in their request that they're willing to do that for us.
Hey, I think from the consensus here that we're just asking you to prepare for the feasibility of initiating it. Is that all right, guys?
Thank you.
Wow, that's pretty significant. Okay, thanks.
All right, now we're going public hearing items. Oh. Is this the time for public
Yeah.
no, is this the time for public comment? I'm a little confused
That's
here. I
number
should have looked
5.
more carefully.
Urban renewal.
But number 5, ahead of urban renewal, what does that mean?
There's nothing there.
If we had a public hearing, that's what I would go.
It's just a space.
Oh, okay, okay. So public,
It's just a placemaker, I think.
If we had a public.
oh, here's public, okay, all right. So now we go into an urban renewal agency item, all right. A little confusing here. So I guess urban renewal agencies audited financial statements, that's what we have here?
Yes, that's
Anybody going to
correct.
talk about it?
It's a continuation of the previous item as part of the audit that was also prepared. It just requires agency approval.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Been moved and seconded by Brian and Jerry to approve the urban renewal audit. All in favor? Unanimous. And now we have public comment. All right. Oh, now there may be some people up there that want, I'm not used to looking up there, but I couldn't see anybody anyway, so. Anybody in the audience want to speak?
Yes.
All right.
Hello. Hello. Hi, my name's Nancy Post.
Who is it?
Nancy Post.
Oh, I thought,
I can barely hear you.
yeah.
Where's the? Okay. Hi, I thought I saw something on the agenda about,
Nancy, you have to speak up into your mic louder.
let me see. Okay, just a sec.
I
This
know,
is
I
loud.
didn't hear it.
Okay, hi. Do you hear me?
No, barely.
Okay, I'm gonna yell. Okay,
It was
I
better
thought
before.
Mhm.
I thought I saw on the agenda that that you were gonna talk about setting a date for a hearing for Gravel Point.
Nancy, they're trying to,
She wants to know about
the agenda for Gravel
the
Point.
de novo hearing.
The hearing date is what she wants to know about.
it's Wednesday, February 21st at 6 PM.
Oh. Great, thank you.
That's all she wants.
She said, thank you.
Okay.
There's one more.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody up
There's one
there?
more. There's one more up there.
Okay, good.
Annie, go ahead.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
That's so weird.
Not very well.
Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties, but I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Annie Velasquez. I own a small business called Master Blaster of Coos Bay, and I have actually sent all of you an email with my company data in it. I do commercial building washes, painting, and mobile sandblasting services. I've done a lot of work for the city of Coos Bay as well as for the city of North Bend. So I just wanted to pop in and say hello.
Hello.
Oh, thank you. Yes, send us some information.
Yep, it should be in all of your inboxes. It's a minority woman-owned business, small family business I started with my husband, and fully commercially residential licensed.
You answer because I can't really hear.
Thank you. Oh, this one's not working either. We did receive it, so if you want it, we can send it on to city council if you didn't.
Oh, that would be good. Thank you. Yes, she'll be sending the information on to us.
Great, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. So this must be us since two of them are, looks like we're still having them. Anybody else up there want to speak? If not, I don't see any more little hands, so I guess we'll go on to, oh, we have written comments from Kirsten Balin And this has to do with short-term rentals. Then we have written comment from an anonymous individual, which also has to do with VRDs. Okay, city manager comments.
Yes, city staff was prepared to inform the public this evening about two meetings that will be conducted. One is initiated by the project applicant of Gravel Point, and that is a community meeting that will be held on January 18th at the barn between 4 and 6 p.m. This is not affiliated with the city. The city's not sponsoring this meeting. However, we will be in attendance to monitor and observe the proceedings. And as the mayor indicated, the public hearing date for the appeal has been set for February 21st at 6 p.m. Dana, do you have anything further to add?
On that topic or anything else? Okay. I just wanted, oh, sorry, I don't have to talk so closely to this one. I just wanted to let you know that in our budget this year, we did set aside money in both planning and public works to pursue a GIS program. Electric is also pursuing their own, but we are trying to work together on using the Esri online program. So we are looking at contracting or doing a intergovernmental agreement with the Lane Council of Governments to get that program set up. So that'll come to you as a future agenda item, but I wanted you to know that it's already in the budget and we're working towards coming up with that IGA for you.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Would this be similar to the assessors program that they use on their website?
Yes, we're hoping, for us, what we're hoping to have available is accurate zoning information. So through a grant, we were able to update our zoning map. And unfortunately, on the Coos County Assessor's Map, our zoning information is inaccurate. So a lot of people use that already to figure out what their zoning is, and it's frequently wrong. So we want to have our own map where folks can use that. We'd also like from the public works side to have all of the sewer and water information available to the public. So if you're looking, do I have a lateral or can I connect in? Where's the main line? How big is it? We'll have that information
Would
available.
that
to the
replace
public.
doing a locate?
Sorry, what was that?
Would that program replace doing a locate then if you needed?
No, you'd still have to do it, but at least if you're looking at buying a property or developing a property, you'd know without having to bother us. And Tim has all this information in his brain, so Tim's required on pretty much every development request that we get. Be really great if we could let him do other more important things and just have that information available to the public.
Thank you.
So it'll probably take, just not to get your hopes up, it'll probably take a year to gather the data and probably another year to get it online. So it'll take some time to make it public, but we're hoping that's really beneficial for folks. So thank you.
Shayla, do you have anything?
No, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Brian?
Nothing. I just hope everyone had a nice Christmas and a good New Year. That was a bummer last night, though. Washington kind of dropped the ball.
Yeah, so to speak,
We all knew it was coming.
almost.
But I agree with you that the way the college rules are set up now, that a lot of these guys don't want to even play because they don't want to get hurt, miss out on the draft. You know, if you're on the team, you ought to be on the team. Well,
I
that's
agree.
my comments anyway.
Jerry,
No. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, nothing either.
I got a question for Sheila. The Gravel Point thing, is that something we can go to or should we not go to it?
I don't recommend you go to it. I mean, all the evidence is going to be brought before you at the de novo hearing anyway, and I would prefer that everybody hear the same information at one time.
Okay.
That's what I figured too. Okay, anybody
Tori's
else want to
gonna-
go? What?
Tori, you going?
Yes, myself and planning staff, Dana, I believe will be in
Okay.
attendance.
Thanks. Okay, if not, if we don't have any other comments, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Planning staff.
What?
I asked.
Or you go in and talk to him, because I talked to him yesterday. He knows where I'm coming from. All right, okay,
Really like to.
all right.
This guy says there's
All right.
91 other homes.
I think I'm gonna sign it.
Well, there are illegal ones out
Yeah,
there,
they were.
we don't get them all, but.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
I mean, I know there's one you can see from your dining area.
What's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's, what's his name, Hernandez. And they advertise, they have a chart right on there. It's a 30-day rental, but it's full all, every week.
We'll put the 30-day, didn't we put the 30-day limit on it?
Well, that's just the way our ordinance reads.
Well, then we have to change the ordinance.
That's what Mary was saying.
I said we gotta change that. We should change it. We're the ones who put it in. Why can't we change it? Why does she have to look at what I'm wondering? Why does she? What I'm wondering.
That's only 6 people in this town. Yeah. So
So I get it. Unless they're VRDs.